Once you walk into Kiyotomo, you know instantly that it could only be by Kuramata. It's really him working at the height of his powers. It's his language through and through.
Kuramata's furniture works are more known internationally with Memphis work and other products. He designed over 350 interior works, but it's very handful of them is left.
Kuramata was a designer that really brought notions of form and formlessness, lightness, transparency, objects that had an absence and a presence, objects as keepers of memories and tellers of stories. He was one of the designers that brought this idea into design globally, starting in the 60s through the 80s.
And it was very clear from the beginning that Kiyotomo Sushi Bar is a one-of-a-kind remaining architectural examples that will really be that very important piece in the foundation of the M+ collections.
Kiyotomo is his late work, designed in 1988. It's quite different than other spaces, which is more dreamy. The Kiyotomo is more subdued. He's using a stone and the woods and more natural material in order to create a more theatrical dining experience.
この清友は夜しか営業してません。ランチの営業はないんですね。ですから暗くなった時に、外の通りもそんなに明るくないんですけれども、そこをこう通って小道を通って暗い中を通ってさらに入り口もまた暗くて狭くて、でそして扉を開けてまたギャップがある。
日本人のアイデンティティがどっかに必ずあるっていうのが倉松さんだから。だからそれでいつもそのマジックが好きなわけね。要するに倉俣マジックって言われるぐらいいろんなマジックやるんだけども、例えばそれがショップでもある。例えば扉のあそこのトイレの扉の大きさとか脅かすっていうか、なんていうの、お茶目なところがたくさんあるわけ。
The original owner had got himself into financial difficulties after the Japanese bubble burst and the landlord repossessed the property. And I kind of had an impulsive reaction to say that I wanted to take over this premises, even though I had no idea at that point at all what I could possibly do with it. And eventually came across M+.
So Ishimaru was the contractor who built the sushi bar in 1988. Ishimaru has built and realized many of the Kuramata's interior space.
この図面見た時はちょっとないデザインなんですよね。これが今までにはないもので、今までの倉松さんの中からはいきなりこうなんつって和の世界ふわっと浮いてるような感じが、やっぱりそれが倉松さんのこの店のデザインというか、その中にイヤイヤホンの電気がスーッときて、そのバランスですかね。
Carpenter never experienced of this kind of joint, and every time he had to design by himself, every details. Very carefully he did work to eliminating traditional type of joint system or combined system.
倉松さんからしても僕らに対しての挑戦を絶対かけてきてるはずなんで、それを答えた時の快感がうちの職人ってみんな持ってるんで、やってよ今回はって。
この解体でもう一つ難しいのはこのカウンターの解体で、これを当時接着してるんですけども、この裏に見ると鉄板がずっと端から端まで通ってるんですけども、それに接着剤を塗ってこれを沈ませて接着している。この接着剤がうまく外れないとこの石が割れちゃうっていうことになるんで、これ本当に慎重に時間をかけてやろうと思ってます。
2.5 years ago, we identified this is a moment because we are ready to open a museum, ready to install the Kiyotomo Sushi Bar.
最初一の幅木があって胴縁を組んではめ糸を張って、 それが今度は逆に下地を組んではめ板を張って石が来るんですよ。まるっきり逆の工程になったんですよ。それが一番難しいと思います。
There's another key person who made this project possible, Sarah Moy. She was Emperor's first conservator.
Well, I began the project in 2014 when the sushi bar was acquired. I had worked intermittently on it until we were leading up to its installation. Conservation work is detective work. You're always investigating how something is made. And that's how you learn about that particular material or what's happening. There's some sort of history behind it.
For example, the entrance, there's a blue carved wall. We found the 3 layers of different blue. I think Kuramata, he didn't like the first blue. He has changed the design while he's installing. And then this type of discovery very rarely happen.
最後に初めからぐるーっと回ってきて最後の目地がやっぱり2ミリ2ミリで収まったんです。まあそういうところが本当奇跡としか言えないですよね。なんか天国から倉松さんが降りてきたみたいな感じですよね。
昨日まではブルーのピクニックシートが貼ってあったんですけど、もう撮ってみたら美術館の床に作品が載ってるのを見るとなんか感慨深いものがあるなってすごくびっくりしてます。まあできちゃったんだなっていう感じですね。
I think of the museum as a place of nourishing the soul, the mind, learning. If people take away the idea that everyday experience is also very special, we're offering avenues for people to consider their relationships with objects, everyday experiences, but also design architecture experiences.